Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good at your end, guys. I just woke up, um, watched the Canelo Golovkin fight, and I thought, why not do a post-fight reaction? Um, Canelo Alvarez dominates Gennady Golovkin in a one-sided fight, in a fight where Golovkin looked like a shell of himself. And Canelo Alvarez really dominated. The scorecards, by the way, were absolutely atrocious. I mean, how they had that fight, 115, 113, or 116, 112. I mean, embarrassing. People talk about Canelo gets favorable decisions, but that was terrible. I mean, that was a one-sided fight. One-sided fight. Not a great watch either, to be honest. Uh, Basically, Golovkin didn't have any output in the fight. I mean, he didn't really throw many punches. He was tentative. You could see that he looked all bit of 40. He didn't really throw caution to the wind that I thought he would. He just didn't have much left. I mean, he's still tough, still got a granite chin, still tough, but Canelo was just too good for him. And I think Golovkin probably is at the end. I think at the end of the road now. I think on that performance, I mean, he looked so poor, so tentative. I mean, never threw many punches. Lacked, that hunger, that desire to really put it on Canelo. I think when you get to that age, I think he was worried as well because when Canelo was just so much faster than him, so much quicker, and he was much sharper. And Golovkin really was struggling to land as well when he was throwing. He was missing a lot. His jab was non-existent for a lot of part of that fight. I mean, Golovkin really in the first two fights, his jab was phenomenal. I mean, it was the decline from the first two fights to what we saw now was scary. I mean, yeah, I think Golovkin has declined massively, and I think Canelo. How the judges had that fight close. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, that was a very very poor. I mean, it was a very poor spectacle. I mean, it was flat from the word go. I mean, I was expecting it to be more of a thriller. And you know what, guys? I was right in the sense when I said Canelo ain't stopping Golovkin. He's too tough. But I was wrong when I actually said it would be a 115, 113, 116, 112 fight. Although the judges gave it that way, it was actually a lot more one-sided. It was probably more a 117, 111, 118, 110 type of fight. It was very poor to watch. I mean, it was quite a flat fight. It was quite a flat fight because one guy really didn't do much. I mean, for the first half of the fight, Golovkin didn't even throw any punches. I mean, it felt like he was a punch bag in there against Canelo. I mean, second half he upped it a little. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't like he was throwing a lot of punches in the second half, but he upped it a little bit more than what he was in the first. But still was coming out second best. I mean, yeah, boxing's a young man's game. It's not an old man's game. It's a young man's game. It's a young man's sport, and you can't beat Father Time. And Golovkin is past his best. But the other thing is, I want to say that I wasn't overly impressed by Canelo. I mean, I think Canelo did great, and I mean, he beat Golovkin. He was just too good for him at this point. But I don't like since the Caleb Plant fight. I mean, even the Caleb Plant fight. I don't know what you guys think. I want to take your take. Canelo seems a bit flat to me. I don't see that. Like even against Plant, I thought he was pretty flat. Against Bivol, I thought he was really flat. And then even in this fight, I mean, like Golovkin, there wasn't really much coming back from Golovkin, but Canelo just seemed content to, that he's winning. But I didn't see Canelo, throw caution to the wind where he'd take the ball by the horns and just start battering Golovkin. Do you know what I mean? Because Golovkin, I mean, there was no threat from Golovkin to Canelo at this point. I mean, it was quite comfortable for Canelo, but Canelo for me just seemed content in doing what he was doing. But I don't know. I don't know whether you guys are seeing this as well. That Canelo doesn't look the same Canelo. And I'm fearing that maybe Canelo might be past his best as well. Because the way I'm looking at it, I'm not looking at it the fact that he beat Golovkin and it was a pretty comfortable performance. I'm thinking if this Canelo was in there with Bivol, does he beat him? And the answer's no. He don't beat, this version of Canelo don't beat Bivol. I mean, I actually don't really think he did much different. He did anything different. I mean, from the Bivol fight, when you think about it, and Golovkin just was not, he was not that guy anymore, and Canelo was able to dominate him. I don't think that fight would have impressed the fans a lot. I don't think the fans would have left that thinking, oh, we're going to get an unbelievable trilogy. It was quite a flat end to a great rivalry. I mean, quite a flat end. I mean, I was expecting a lot more in that fight. And we got a one-sided beatdown. But a one-sided beatdown where I felt like Canelo could have done a lot more. But I'm a bit worried if Canelo does go into the fight against Bivol. On that performance, I mean, I can't see him beating Bivol, to be brutally honest with you. I don't know what you guys think. I'd love to know your opinion. But on that performance, would you give Canelo a chance? I mean, obviously he's got a chance, but would you back him to beat Bivol on that performance? I don't think so. I don't think so. And you know what? There's also these young guns coming up, like Benavidez, like these guys. Maybe we're looking at that and thinking, maybe we can take Canelo here. I'm not a big fan of Benavidez. I think he's immensely overrated at this point. I would back Canelo massively in that fight. But I don't know whether Canelo's on the slide. He's had a long, hard career, and he's had a lot of fights, and he's been in a lot of tough fights as well. Is Canelo Alvarez now at the end of the road? Is Canelo Alvarez sliding? I don't know, guys. Let me know your opinion. What do you guys think? He was sharp, don't get me wrong. He was sharp, but it just a bit of lack of oomph. A bit of lack of energy from Canelo. But Canelo did say after the fight that he had a hand injury. And this is what I'm saying. Canelo's picking up these injuries now. Is he starting to... Is boxing starting to get to him now? I don't know. I don't know, because I don't see the same Canelo that I saw in the first two Golovkin fights and the Danny Jacobs fight. I think the Danny Jacobs fight was probably the best Canelo I've seen. He was brilliant. His head movement, his sharpness. I haven't quite seen Canelo at that level right now, even though he dominated Callum Smith. I think the Callum Smith fight, he was brilliant. He dominated him. He looked great in that fight. But since the Caleb Plant fight, I felt even the Caleb Plant fight itself, the Plant, Bivol, and this fight, Canelo's looked a bit flat to me. He hasn't looked as good as what he normally is. And this is why I say that I think the Bivol rematch, I don't really see it going any differently. Because I don't really see anything differently being done by Canelo or him looking sensational. And I think he needs to be sensational to beat Bivol. I don't think he can beat Bivol without being sensational. Because I think Bivol's too big. He's very rangy. He's got a horrible style where he's very fast to feet. And he's in and out. And he's just got a horrible style for Canelo. So Canelo would have to come up with an unbelievable game plan to beat someone like Dimitri Bivol. But I do think what Canelo should do, I think Canelo should probably stay at 168 and look to fight those guys at 168 like the Benavidez is, and clean up everybody there, which I think he will do, should do. Although, like I said, I think those guys would probably fancy those chances after seeing Canelo, especially the fact when you hear Canelo had a hand injury and stuff. But like I said, I think Canelo, we've got to give him respect. He's another win. Golovkin as well, what a warrior, He's had a great career, but like I said, time waits for nobody, age waits for nobody, and I think it's time for Golovkin maybe to go off in the sunset. I don't even know if Golovkin beats a Charlo at this point. On that performance with how tentative he was, I think Charlo and Janabek will probably beat him as well, because I think Golovkin looks worn out. He looks worn out. I think he looks every bit of his age. I'm really intrigued now to what Canelo's going to do. They are talking about the Bivol rematch. I don't think that's a good idea. But, fair play. If Canelo goes and fights Dimitri Bivol, you got to give him respect. He's daring to be great. He's daring to go out there and trying to avenge his loss. And I think that's all we can ask from a champion. I think I would prefer to see Canelo look to fight these guys like Benavidez, maybe an Andrade, maybe a Charlo at 168. I think the Charlo fight's a great fight. I think Charlo fight, I would pick Canelo to win that fight. Um, so I think that's a big fight as well, big money fight. I think the Andrade fight would be good. I think the Benavidez fight would be good. I think any of those three fights I would welcome. I think they're great fights. I think the Bivol fight maybe should park it for a little while. I think Bivol's too big. You know what I mean? He's too big. He moves around too much. And I think that the problem Canelo would have, I think Canelo wouldn't be able to put a dent on Dimitri Bivol. You know, and Bivol is a lot more elusive than Golovkin. And actually, what I noticed from Golovkin, Golovkin was pretty. I mean, Golovkin wasn't the old Golovkin where he was just looking to walk forward and he didn't care what he was getting hit with. He was actually worried because I think he knew that at this age, his vulnerabilities, that he can't go in there with Canelo and just throw caution to the wind because Canelo would counter him and hurt him. And I think Golovkin played it safe. I mean, I think Golovkin was kind of happy to be second best and just go the distance. He's a warrior. He's got a granite chin, but I actually thought Golovkin would throw caution to the wind because I actually thought this would mean a lot more to him. But I just don't think he had any. I just don't think he had it. And I think when he felt a couple of those Canelo shots, I think he realized that I can't rush in and throw caution to the wind and start letting my hands go, because if this guy catches me with quick combinations, I'm going to be in trouble. You know, and the other thing I want to see from Canelo, I want to see Canelo throw those combination punches. I mean, where are those combination punches gone from Canelo? I mean, Canelo used to throw punches in bunches. I don't see that from Canelo anymore. He throws single shots. He doesn't throw punches in bunches. This is the thing I've seen. I just feel like there's a bit of a decline in like he doesn't throw the punches in bunches that he used to. And he needs to against Bivol. If he's going to fight Bivol again, he needs to throw punches in bunches. He needs to try to outwork Bivol. You know? But like I said, I think you've got to give both fighters respect. They've had a great rivalry. They've had a great trilogy. And, you know, Canelo Alvarez has come out on top 2 times. One was a draw, which probably Golovkin deserved. But yeah, I think it's been great. It's been great to see these two warriors, two of the best, you know, middleweights of our generation. I mean, and they've given us great fights. Now I know this trilogy was a little bit flat. One guy was a little bit past his best. But nonetheless, I feel like, you know, we need to give both these warriors credit for giving us great entertainment. You know, great first 2 fights, great fights. I mean, nip and tuck fights. Golovkin put it all on the line. Maybe this trilogy came a bit too late, maybe 2 or 3 years too late. I think it probably should have happened a year after. I think it coming up when Golovkin was 40, it just probably was a little late. But Canelo, like I said, he gets another win. I think now we're all going to be intrigued to who Canelo fights next. And that's what's going to be interesting, because I personally would like to see him fight Benavidez. Personally, that's just my personal opinion. I think the Benavidez fight would be a much better fight than the Bivol fight at this point. Gain his confidence, get a couple of wins, then maybe go in there with Bivol. Bivol's young. Bivol's going to be around for a while. He's going to be a champion for a while. I don't see anyone beating Bivol unless he fights Beterbiev. And he actually could probably let them two fight and then maybe look to fight the winner. I think that could be another route that Canelo tries to go down. And probably is a route that Canelo should try to go down, because if Beterbiev wins that fight, who knows? Maybe stylistically, Canelo has a better chance against Beterbiev. Who knows? But yeah, I think Canelo should probably look to fight at 168 and clean those guys out at 168, and then maybe go for a super fight at 175. But when you think about it, I don't know because I only think Canelo might have 4 or 5 fights left. I mean, because there's not a lot of guys. There's always going to be guys that are coming up, but there's not really a lot of guys. Like if you look at this, Andrade, Charlo, Benavidez, I mean, those are the kind of names that I want to see him fight 168, 160. At 175, there's Beterbiev and Bivol, really. Apart from that, who is there really out there for Canelo that you really want to see him fight? There's not a lot of guys, really, when you think about it. So I don't think Canelo's going to be around for that long. I think he's probably got another 5-6 fights. And maybe Canelo might see off into the sunset. I think Canelo's had a lot of wars. I mean, he's had a lot of tough fights. He's had a long, hard career. He started very early on. So maybe Canelo might be looking to get out the sport at 34, 35 with his legacy, being a first ballot Hall of Famer, getting himself out of the sport. But yeah, Canelo Alvarez dominates Gennady Golovkin in a one-sided fight, in my opinion. I thought the judges' scorecards were terrible, embarrassing. But again, I think we've got used to that in boxing where the judges don't ever seem to get it right. But yeah, leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. What did you make of Golovkin's performance? Do you think it's time for him to retire? What did you make of Canelo's performance? And who do you want to see him fight next? And guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.